G'day subscribers. Today we're going to talk about floorboards, brakes and knobs. You're with Jules Knight on Jive Talking Garage. Now, in the history of Holden since 1917, Norm Darwin, the author, lists one of the colours as Mundy Brown. It's actually one of the last colours he lists. And Mundy Brown was used by the painters for General Motors for the floorboard colour of the early Holdens. Now, there is a bit of variation in that because the slops during the course of the week got tipped into the brown, and it's a little bit darker, it's a little bit lighter, it is what it is. However, that's what the colour of the boards are. Now, in the 80s, our former national director of the AHF, Brian Smith, was talking to me about it because he had one of every model Holden of be it a 48, a 48 Ute. He obviously had the 48 sedan. He had FJ panel van, and so on, all the way through to HZ and then Commodores and so on. Anyways, the point I want to make is Brian had said to me in passing that with the floorboards, they were Mundy Brown on top and on the sides, and underneath they were dipped in copper naphthalate. And I'm thinking, yeah. And I've mentioned before on Jive Talking, it's really important to listen to the old timers because they're forgetting what we're learning or what we are retaining. And anyways, when I did my ute, I just did all four sides, top, bottom, sides, with Mundy Brown. However, this week I've been up with my FJ. Now, my FJ is a little bit special from the perspective of when my van was made, sent to Cordell's, and work was done on it to turn it into a station wagon, a panel wagon, the back boards were removed, shortened, the runners were ditched, and the boards were turned upside down and put in the back of the car. So they've been protected for 65 or so years. So here's one of the boards actually. And here we can see the Mundy Brown, and you'll actually see the side profile. You can actually see how it's not a direct right angle there. There's actually a piece where they've run the saw down this groove. So that's more of a groove for the M-shaped clamp to actually go into. So this isn't straight across. This has the groove in it first. But anyways, that's not the point I'm trying to make. So we've got the Mundy Brown. Forget about the green that's there. But underneath, you can see the greeny tinge to it. And the greeny tinge is the copper naphthalate. And that is to ward off white ants, borers, bugs, and insects, to keep it away from the timber so that it does not rot. Now, panel vans have more protected boards than what utes do because they're not subjected to the elements. Let's face it, they've got a roof and a top and bottom tailgate which are actually protecting them, whereas on a ute, all they've got is a tonneau cover in the back gate, and if one of them's down or off, well then, you're getting atmosphere to the boards, and how often have we seen them rotted out? But so, what I'm doing is I'm showing you the Mundy Brown top, sides, copper naphthalate underneath. Now, I'm not suggesting that copper naphthalate is the way to go. I understand it's pretty, shall we say, rugged stuff to use as far as health is concerned. They don't necessarily use it now. However, that's what's happening there. Anyway, Now, I've been getting a lot of help by the troncolator. He's giving me great assistance. And the other day, we were doing some stuff with the diff I got and grabbing my other diff and going through the brake shop. Now, while I was at the brake shop, I bought some Bundy pipe, Bundy tube, and I've got it in a 6-meter roll, but that's all I've got left of it, because today I went down the brains trust. So, you're getting a roll of tube. You can see how small the tube is. Forget about the blue ends that I've got on there to seal it all up, because I was using it to make all the brake lines. So, it's got the fitting in there. So I was able to get the fittings for both ends and then putting it in a, cutting it with, like, for instance, a copper cutter, like a plumber's tool, and then putting all of the appropriate bends in it from a template, from an old one, and to pretty much get it right. So you are taking the Bundy tube and you are turning it into something that's going to give you safety on your FJ. Now, in response to getting it right for the brakes. Now, I learnt this today when I was with the Brains Trust. And you can see everything they do is perfect. It's just amazing. I'm 57 and I still get treated like I'm the apprentice. But anyway, now they said that to me, actually, when I had one of my brake junction boxes down there, junction blocks, I should say. And I cut this off as a bit of a sample to you. So what we were doing is, in flaring the ends, you'll actually see in there, it's not just a straight flare, it's a double flare, because brakes have a double flare. And the reason for that is there is a channel that's in there. A bit hard to see in the darkness because we're shooting dark. So you can see there is a channel in there. So when this actually goes in there, it will actually sit in the channel. And when you are threading your fixture onto it, well, it's not just sealing from the outside, it's sealing from the inside as well, because you're dealing with brakes and it has to be extra secure. Because let's face it doesn't matter how good your gearbox is or how smoky your engine is. If you can't stop, you've got a real problem. Brakes are the single most important thing on a car. Doesn't matter whether the car's turned on or not, brakes are the important piece on a car. Now, I just wanted to make mention of a couple of things. So, special gear knobs. So FJ, they're trying to make the car a bit more luxurious. So they're actually sporting a new grille, new look Holden is what they were called. So they were sporting a new grille, and also they had a new dashboard, but they also had black and silver door handles, window winders, and also gear knobs, light, choke, and glove box, and the gear knob. So the gear knob had the little piece of chrome that's there that's retained, which is really this little stepped in washer that sits in this tapered edge here. So on the 48 standards and the 48 utes, the FJ Ute 215 standard and the FJ panel van, here was the gear knob for it. So that's one I bought new old stock back in the 80s and I've been sitting on ever since. So it'll be a case of the washer goes in there and then that will go on. So I do have a new old stock special one as well, but I'll be ditching that soon enough. So what have I been doing lately with the FJ? So boards out, fuel tank out. So we needed to get to a point of safety so that we weren't going to have any problems, because let's face it, when you're welding on a car, an empty fuel tank is more dangerous than a full fuel tank, because of the gas perspective of it, and it'll just go bang. So we were making the car safe, and then it was a matter of putting it up in the air on 4 stands. So we've done all that. What else? We've taken the guards off, the bumper bar off, the stone tray off. When I left it at the end of last week and back onto it tomorrow, it was a case of the guards were off and looked like a real hot rod, which was great. However, that's all sitting back there waiting for me to work. Dan the welder, unavailable Monday and today, Tuesday, so that's fine. We'll be back onto it Wednesday. We'll have Supervisor Louis with us, so that's good. We've got to make sure we do all the right work when Louis is with us. But on the way, I will be going to the sandblaster. Now, some of the parts I want sandblasted, aren't starting out life very well. I'm going to pick the best front and rear backing plates. One of the things I liked about these backing plates is they've actually still got these little panels that pop in and pop out. And this is for adjusting the wheel cylinder. So it's a matter of pushing them out. So you can see they just clip into place, and you're pushing them out. And so then you can get your brake adjuster tool in there. And so you're doing some adjustment and then spinning the wheel. And then a little bit more adjustment, spinning the wheel. So what you want to achieve is, for the brakes to just about to touch and then back them off a little bit. So that will allow the wheel cylinder to expand, the brake shoes out, and for them to touch the drum and for everything to stop. So sandblasting tomorrow. So front suspension, front crossmember goes, as do all the wishbones, or control arms upper and lower, the rear diff housing, that's going. Not the leaf springs, because I've been told not to do those. So Russell wants them so that they can all be cleaned up and pulled apart individually, and all the insulators put in them, so that's fine. So we've got that on the go. I've got a generator, starter motor, regulator, and an oil filter to do for the long jumping jeweler from Lavender Bay. So I've got to do that for him. So tomorrow on the FJ, I think we're doing a bit of cutting as far as inner and outer sills and floor is concerned. So getting that into a place where we can actually get a few things done, which is great. But other than that, we're starting to get close. So sandblasting will go off tomorrow. Get it back. I'm actually going to ask them to prime it, because I don't have time at the moment. So I've got a new assignment starting on Monday as well. So time is of the essence for me, and I'm just trying to get things right. So that's fine. So today we've talked about copper naphthalate on the bottom of your floorboards for your ute and panel van. We've talked about Bundy tube from the brake shop to roll out and make new brake lines. We've talked about items for sandblasting. We've talked about Project Julius with the inner, outer door sills and floor pans. And we've also talked about the special and standard gear knobs that you could get. So the ebony and ivory gear knobs that you could get, whether it be a standard or a special, a commercial, or your luxurious sedan. But anyway, have a look at Jive Talking Garage on Facebook. See the interesting things that we're doing. We've got some really good guys who are now sort of, coming in and posting a lot of interesting stuff. So I'm really enjoying it. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe to our video. But more importantly, folks, enjoy your Holden.